issued a statement. WAPCo also issued a statement about this exercise they call pigging. The net effect of what they are doing is that gas flows from Nigeria as well as the reverse flow of gas from Takrady to the Tema enclaves have all been curtailed. And so effectively, because of this exercise, we are unable to power about 800 megawatts of thermal capacity, putting a huge strain on the supply of electricity to the grid. So what we've done is to procure some liquid fuels, i.e. Light crude oil, distillate fuel, and HFO. The effect of this exercise is that we are producing just enough to meet demand. And so we have no spare capacity, we have no reserve margin, putting a huge strain on the supply of power. Let me thank the officials of WAPCo for the work they are doing. So far, it's a very difficult work, but the indication I'm getting is that they are on schedule. However, the next 1 week is very critical because the next 1 week will determine the extent of the success of the work they are pursuing. All things being equal, at the beginning of next month, we should see the flow of gas, which means that power supply will be much, much more enhanced. We have a challenge though. We've received a letter from NGAS threatening not to supply the gas even after this exercise because there's an outstanding liability of about $75 million. And so government has to scramble around and find a way of meeting this huge challenge. Mr. President has directed that I go to Nigeria to meet our Nigerian counterparts to deliberate and negotiate with them so we can make some part payments, have a briefing space whilst we take time to settle the outstanding liabilities. But clearly, it tells you that we inherited a very, very difficult situation, a very challenging situation. Be that as it may, we have to find solutions to these challenges. And our main effort and concentration is on how we can find these solutions, the immediate term, the medium term, but more importantly, the long term. Because the situation will be much, much worse. This exercise was supposed to be carried earlier, I think around 20th of February or so, of January, 20th of January. But when we made a passionate appeal to them, because at that time, we had no fuel in stock, they gracefully agreed and pushed it for about 2 weeks to enable us procure some emergency fuels. And so I want to thank you for that collaboration and for that understanding. We would continue to work with you and ensure that we deepen the relationship between Ghana and our West African nations, particularly Nigeria, as well as you. It has to do with liabilities from last year up to now. It's about 75 million US dollars. And given the tight fiscal situation, we want to appeal to our Nigerian counterparts that if we can make a down payment whilst they give us some payment schedule. Mr. President has already met myself and the finance minister, and it does appear that the finance minister would be able to mobilize some resources. But the truth is that given the situation that we find ourselves, it will be very difficult to meet the entire amount at a go. But I'm sure that our Nigerian counterparts are also very, very cooperative. Once I go there, I'm sure we'll be able to have some solution. Because if by the time the pigging is complete and gas is not flowing, we are going to run into major crisis. In fact, it costs us a lot of money to buy liquid fuel. It's not an option. No matter what, we have to find a way of consuming the gas. And no matter the challenge, I'm sure that given the caliber of people we have, we'll be able to find a solution and forge ahead with them. It's more than $100 million. And so you're talking of $75 million over a very long period. And within just 1 month, normally you wouldn't run these plants on diesel. And you would have procured light crude oil. But because of the time period and the time you require to treat the light crude oil, we've had to run on diesel. It's normally not the case. The light crude oil is arrived, but you need a minimum of 2 to 3 weeks to treat that light crude oil. But diesel, you can consume it immediately. HFO, heavy fuel oil, you can consume it. And so that is what we are consuming. And if we had planned well, we shouldn't be in this situation. But this is what we've inherited, and we have to do whatever we can to hold the situation and deliver power. And so finally, let me appeal to Ghanaians that if they see some minimum disruption in the power supply, it's not deliberate. It's just that given the situation and given the short time period that we've had to scramble to procure fuel, every Tema plant that can run on fuel, we've brought that Tema plant on board. The 800 megawatts that is stranded and cannot supply power, it is because they are not dual fuel plants and they cannot consume diesel. If they could consume liquid fuel, would have procured that. And so we're trying our very best to ensure that there's very minimal impact. And so far, I want to commend GridCo, I want to commend all the power producers for the work they are doing, and also to continue to appeal to ECG that they should continue to put their men on standby. What we don't want is during this period, due to some localized faults, people tend to suffer more. And so anytime we have a challenge, the engineers move quickly to site and try to resolve it. And we'll keep monitoring that. We have just about 1 week bearing any unforeseen circumstances to restore back to normalcy. But we need to pay that money as well and ensure that there's flow of gas. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
For more news, please visit our website graphic.com.gh or follow us on Facebook at Daily Graphic and on YouTube and Twitter at GraphicGH.
Subscribe now.